Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Howdy, y'all. red.olaughlin here on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network and the E360 TV network. And today we're branching out into a new territory. We spent weeks covering how to plan for optimal health for 2024, and that's available in the archive. But now we're in a new section. I think it's probably going to be 4 to 6 weeks, kind of play it by ear and see how it works. But there's a term that we all use. Let me go ahead and get my slides set up. We're getting started for this. Okay. Before I get into today's discussion, let me go ahead and say that as a disclaimer, I'm a researcher. I'm not a doctor, never been in the medical industry, never been in the pharmaceutical industry, but I developed a love of chemistry a long time ago, back in high school. And when my wife came down with breast cancer almost 10 years ago, more than that now, about 10 years ago, I started using my chemistry knowledge to help me treat her side effects. I was never able to become a chemist because I got an invitation to Vietnam, and by the time I got back from that, my career options were totally different than what they were out of college. But when I'm looking at now as a researcher, I go into the human body at the cellular level, and I look for cause and effect relationships. I think if you treat a cause, you can fix a problem. If you treat symptoms, you'll always be treating symptoms. Putting a Band-Aid on something and then continually taking it off and putting another one on, it never goes away. I believe our health and wellness is our own responsibility. And this presentation, as always, is for awareness and education. So with that being said, let's jump into today's talk. STEM, I think almost everybody has heard it. The STEM that we're aware of is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that science, technology, engineering, mathematics are all related. It's a core group of topics that somebody who wants to go in that scientific, that engineering, that technology realm for a career, they need that background and those kinds of courses in order to excel, because it builds awareness and knowledge and education in everything there. It encourages experimentation as you go through things. We learn to accept and learn from our failures. But I think most importantly, two things most importantly. Number one, it develops critical thinking. And number two, it promotes problem solving. So you do something, it doesn't work. Okay, let's learn from that and let's do it again. And I think if we look at that and we apply that to our health and wellness, that a whole new world opens up. So let's take the same concept that we have for career opportunities in science, engineering, technology, and apply them to our own health. So if I say my Talking Head show is primarily about awareness and education for health and wellness, that's the gist of this show. That's my focus. So why not apply STEM to the health and wellness world? If I apply STEM as STEM, stress, toxins, emotional, and mental, then I have factors that highly influence my physical health, my longevity, my ability to enjoy my longevity, factors that we usually don't focus on. They're there, but we don't think much about them, and factors that are in fact controllable. So given that as being our mission today, let's start out with the sources of stress being the first one of the STEM. So I have external sources, internal, some actions to reduce, eliminate, and some diseases that are associated with it. Now, with regard to stress, the first part of this is going to be pretty much rudimentary. If you listened to me before, you know how we go through this thing. It's not difficult, and most of it's already well known by everybody. So what are some of the external sources of stress? Work. There are not too many people, even those just in a one-person business, who don't have some level of stress from work, whether it be your boss, your coworkers, your relationships. It can be the money you're making is not enough. The amount of time that you're putting into work just doesn't allow you to enjoy life events themselves. You got to make a graduation and you're working. You can't get over. There's a lot of things that work generates. Even if I'm a one-person entrepreneur and I need to get certain things done, I don't have the money to advertise. I don't have the time to market. I don't have the time to network. There are a lot of issues there with work, whether it's a one-person business or you have 500 people working for you. There's a lot of issues with work that cause stress from an external perspective. The environment, so many different things there. I think I probably have these out of order. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's jump back to work for just a second. I'll get to environment in a minute. Workload. Everybody's challenged by how much they have to get done in a certain period of time. We have conflicts. One of the things I always try to do when I started a new job was make sure that I had an understanding with my boss. I said, if I see something I don't like, disagree with, I want to have the ability to tell you, I disagree, I don't like it, whatever. And you say, that's fine. We agree to disagree. Go ahead and do it. He knows I don't like it. He knows I have a conflict with it. If it becomes such that I can't stand it, I'll leave. But at least I know he knows my position. I'll go ahead and do whatever it is. As that's you just follow the orders. That's part of my military upbringing. But a lot of times in the military, you don't have the ability to say, hey, I disagree. It's yes, sir, 3 bags full. You go on down the road and get the thing done. Sometimes we have problems with job security. I can't tell you how many times that I would have staff meetings and I would tell people, if you ask me a question, I give you an answer, you know that I know nothing about what's going on. If I tell you I can't talk about any job layoffs coming up, you know there's probably something happening. So ask the questions, I'll give you the standard answer, and then you can deduce it from there. But a lot of people just wanted to feel safe for that next week or the next 2 weeks or whatever it may happen to be. Work hours, if you're on a 40-hour work week and it's on 4 days, that can cause a lot of problems, especially if you have a long commute. Just the environment in general. There's so many different things there. And I think on my environment, let me sneak ahead for a second. Yes, I do have the environment. Snuck something in where I didn't want it. Relationships, probably the number one. And because relationships, we have our life, and these are people, whether we're at work, our families, whether we're dating somebody, it doesn't matter. We have relationships. And sometimes we're not even involved in the drama of a relationship someone else is having, but that drama that they're sharing with us bleeds over into our world. And I can tell you from experience, if you have something that when you're going to sleep at night and that only thought keeps coming back to that one thing, my boss, my deadline, my job, my interview tomorrow, whatever it may happen to be, that is probably the number one stressor that you have right then. And those things are controllable to a degree, but they're going to happen. And in fact, I'll tell you one real easy one for relationships. Family member had a problem with their boss. Boss was not necessarily the most tactful person. And I'm attending an event and they're talking about stress management and relief. And they said, everybody, take your left hand, put it up in front of your face, and take your right finger, or if you're left-handed, the other way around, and write that person's name on who bothers you. It could be mother-in-law, it could be your boss, it could be anyway. So I said, well, yeah, why not? Just try this thing out and see how it works. So I put down this person's boss's name. And they said, look at it, think about that person, see that person, and then take and just throw it away. Just let it go. And it was less than 2 weeks later, I happened to be in a situation where I run into this person's boss. And lo and behold, I could tell immediately that my stress levels that used to ramp up were very much subdued. And I had no idea that that was that effective in letting go of something that rapidly. I tell people a lot of times, if you're sitting at a stoplight and you know it's a short light and you're in a hurry and you know you're probably going to get caught by the light because people aren't moving fast enough, smile. Because what happens is that you have a thought creating here that's stressing. It's going to come down and it's going to cause changes in the muscles in your face, changes in your body. If you can cut it off right here and begin a smile, what you're doing is you're forcing your muscles in a backward direction in response to that negative thought, and you're forcing that back into the brain from a physical perspective. All of a sudden, you can't have a negative and a positive thought in your brain at the same time. So you're forcing goodness to go against that negativity coming down, and there's an impasse. And the longer you hold that smile, okay, fine, it is what it is. If you can laugh a little bit, but if you don't do that and you're irritated, you sit through the light again, and then all of a sudden you finally get on through that light and on down the road. That person in that car is still irritating you. You can feel it. But if you let it go, all of a sudden it's a non-issue anymore. It really and truly is. So relationships, events, and things. Money, big one. A lot of people think money is even bigger than everything else. We have debt, we have financial stability, we have demands, we have all sorts of things in our lives that can create external sources of stress. We have life events, a new job, a family, moving, divorce, death in the family, even a vacation. The mere fact of taking a vacation that, okay, I'm going to spend money, but I'm going to get away from everything. I got to travel somewhere. Sometimes travel can be a big stressor. Okay, now I'm in a new place, new people, new food, new customs, new language, whatever it may happen to be. There are a lot of things there. But on a vacation, you finally get to go skiing, you get to go lay on the beach, whatever your vacation is, you finally have a chance to relax. And that's the part of the vacation that actually de-stresses you because you're away from everything. Our environment, the noise in our environment, I've had some that, well, I was in an aircraft for 16 years flying military. And if you get to a certain point in that airplane, you can't talk to somebody in a normal voice that's 2 feet away from you because of the vibration of everything that's in there. As you walk a little bit further past that, you can talk, but you still have to raise your voice. So noise can be a very stressing environment. The heat, the cold. Now, I'm a hot weather person. I don't like temperatures much below about 85 degrees at night. But to me, okay, fine, it's life. I accept it. It is there. But sometimes you end up in an environment. I was stationed in New York City in the wintertime. Not an ideal place for weather, but it is what it is. I know that it's going to come to an end. So you have to kind of adjust your mindset. Pollution, that's a big one in a lot of cities. I live in Houston, and every so often there's a major Houston pollution problem. Los Angeles, Hawaii, where I lived at for a while, you would get the trade winds stopping and the volcanoes were spewing all sorts of stuff, and you would end up with a layer of pollution from there. But pollution can be a major environmental external source. Some people don't like crowds. They're fine, but you get them in a crowded situation and they become stressed. You live in a crime area, or you got to pass through a crime area to get to someplace. The commute. My last commute when I was working for another company, back when I worked for another company, it was probably an hour each way. And you're subject to whatever's going on, weather-wise, traffic holdups. It doesn't matter. You're there. And I remember one day I was stressing out because I know a particular area floods easily, and we happened to have a tropical storm come through, and I talked my boss into letting me go home early, and I'm glad I did because that area was covered with about 20 feet of water just a few hours later. If I hadn't gone home then, that road would not have been available, and I would have been sharing roads with other people. But these things happen. The stress is not what happens, and this is really critical. It's not what happens, the flood, the noise, the boss, the coworker. It's not what happens. It's what we accept and we hold on to. When you reach out and you grab a hold of it and you let go, that's when stress becomes a problem. That is the part that we can control. Okay, fine, it happens to everybody. We're all getting laid off. I remember 100 plus company I worked, 100 person company I worked with. Everybody but 3 people got laid off. Those 3 had to get rid of the company, had to dispose of the materials and everything else. But all of us got one day, boom. Now, I've been in many companies where, hey, you're a lucky number today. You're no longer going to be with us. These things happen. And yeah, we hold on to it. We hold on to it for a while. But I finally got to a point where, things happen for a reason. Many times we never know that reason, but they happen for a reason. Okay, brood over it for a while, get upset about it for a while, put 30 minutes on your clock, Okay, I'm done. Let's go on and accept it and move on. Okay. What are some of the internal sources of stress? Things that we don't necessarily even think are sources of stress, but they are. Our health. If we have a disease, even though it may be something, COVID, for instance, it could be high blood pressure, it could be a cardiovascular disease, it could be a number of things. That disease actually causes stress at the cellular level in the body. Pain. If you have some kind of pain, back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, it doesn't matter, headaches, it doesn't matter where the pain is at. That pain creates stress in the body. If you have hormonal or vitamin or mineral imbalances, those can create a lot of stress at the cellular level. And when all of these things start happening, the risks of other diseases start to increase. And so we'll talk a lot about that as we get further into stress. Our brain, that's our thinking part. We have two parts of our brain, our subconscious and our conscious. But our conscious part, if we get involved in this negative self-talk, low self-esteem, perfectionism, worry, it's that inner dialogue we have with ourselves. Those are controllable. Now, as we start looking at things, we don't even know sometimes we have a problem. Back when I was networking, starting in the networking business, I met this guy, great guy, very, very dynamic. And I remember my mentor at that time says, he's really good in that particular area, but he has such a low self-esteem of himself that it's going to take him a long time to overcome that and be really successful. Well, it did. It took him, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years, because he never concentrated on the low self-esteem aspect of his personal improvement. He was always trying to improve the product or the service, whatever it was that he was dealing with. But once we realize that we have low self-esteem, there are many things we can do to improve it. People worry about things that could happen. Well, what's the probability that might happen? Well, 10%. Well, is 10% really? Let's worry about it when it's 90% probable. Well, they're laying off people at work. Yeah, that's true. But things that are worth worrying about, when they get to that high enough level, worry about them then. Don't worry about them earlier. It's easy to say, but very, very difficult. Trauma. We know from military perspective, PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, stress disease. The PTSD doesn't have to be something that happens in the military. It can be something you happen, from an automobile accident. It can be something that happened at work because of something else that happened to somebody. It can be abuse from childhood. It can be abuse from marriage. It can be a lot of things. But that PTSD, there are a lot of self-programs, self-hypnosis for one that I know works very well. That rapid eye movement is another one that works very well with PTSD. And we'll talk about some of these things down the road. But PTSD is treatable. But a lot of times we don't even know we have PTSD. Everyone around us knows we have it, but we don't know we have it. Anxiety, depression, sometimes brought on by dietary deficiencies, but other times brought on by that extended worry. And when I talk about stress in the context of today's topic, I'm talking about stress that is not relieved immediately, stress that stays with us for a long period of time. Just having a little bit of stress, yeah, that's normal. We get stressed every day. But it's what we hold on to week after week after week, month after month after month, and we don't get rid of it. That is when problems with our health start to happen. We talked about abuse very briefly, disabilities. I just published a book for a person who had a major disability. She did not view it as a disability. In fact, she's an inspirational, motivational speaker, and she uses that disability to be part of her business, and she's very dynamic in that. Sometimes we end up with heartburn, ulcers. Those are things that are clues that maybe we do have a problem. And sometimes we have genetic predispositions that increase our risk for certain kinds of diseases. So if I'm looking at stress, what can you do? Well, one of the very first ones we can do is change our lifestyle. Exercise is a great stress reducer. Most of us don't do it. Something as simple as walking might be a solution to get started. Diet, so many things on diet create stress within our body. We're not going to worry about those too much today because I'm going to cover a lot of that under toxins. But diet can create problems from a stress perspective, from a sleep perspective. Again, That's probably your first clue you have a problem. You can't go to sleep at night, and the same thing is keeping you awake. If that's what it is, that's what you need to concentrate on. We could adopt what's called relaxation techniques. This is yoga, deep breathing exercises. Uh, YouTube is a great place to go to. I use various pranayamas or Indian deep breathing exercises for controlling your breath, which controls your blood pressure, which controls a lot of things, your heart rate, and it just really is calming. EFT, emotional freedom techniques, a major way where you tap on various parts of the body and you improve the body's ability to kind of align everything down the medians of your body and let everything just flow away. I find EFT very, very effective. But for me, for it to be effective, I need at least 8 minutes of EFT in order for me to do something. I found it very effective when I was traveling from, say, California to Bahrain, or from New York to Japan or Korea. Traveling long distances, I found EFT was a very, very good way of getting rid of a lot of that stress from long distance traveling, time zone issues. Muscle relaxations. You just lay still and you imagine each muscle in your body. You start with your toes or wherever, and you just relax a little bit of that. And you move up to the next muscle, and then you get all the way through the foot, all the way through the lower leg, all the way through the knee. And you just relax, relax, relax. As you let the air out, you just visualize that muscle relaxing, just completely letting it go. Sunshine is a great way to relieve stress. Getting outside, walking, cognitive reframing. Okay, I know that person is an idiot. I expect that person is going to not change. You have somebody, okay, accept it. You don't have to be combative for somebody. I was watching a movie last night about an opera teacher, and she was very, very, very combative. But you notice the students after a while, okay, that's just the way she is. But initially on, they were taken back by her particular style. But cognitive reframing is understanding that there's a condition there, but you accept it for what it is and just let it go. Time management is another way of being able to reduce stress. So when I look at being able to have better organization, be able to set priorities, taking some breaks at various times, especially if you're sitting at a computer for a long period of time, you're driving for long periods of time, get out, physically walk around. You don't need to go to the bathroom. Just get out anyway. Stop for 2-3 minutes, walk around the car, take some deep breaths, get back in the car and go again. But set things up in manageable steps. So what can you do? You can also find some social support. Spend more time with people who support you, whether they're friends or family. They know your situation. They know your issue with a coworker, with your boss, with your salary, whatever it may happen to be. Find someone who can really and truly help you, commiserate with you, be an accountability partner, whatever it may happen to be. But there are people out there that can help you that you know. You can seek professional help. That is always an option. You can join support groups. And this is probably one that when you start having a PTSD or some other major issue in life is really necessary. I didn't necessarily join support groups when my wife was going through breast cancer, but I certainly accessed a lot of them to find out how were they dealing with the stress. I wanted to know what worked, what didn't work. Okay, well, that's interesting. Let's try that. And I tried on my wife. Hey, it worked. And sometimes, well, that didn't work as well. Maybe we didn't use enough or we didn't use the right one. But sometimes the nurses can tell you, say, you're taking this medicine, why don't you try this also? Ask and see what you can find out. Mindful meditation, being in the present moment, aware of everything around you. What can you accept? What can you reject? And this is our feelings and our thoughts. In other words, after a while, if I see the same thing over and over again, learn from your failures, learn from your mistakes. What can you throw out and just, it's okay, fine. Yeah, it's there. I can't deal with it. Let it go. Just being able to say no, set boundaries. Don't overcommit. We have a work life that we have to focus on when we're at work. We have a personal life that we have to take care of when we get home. Some of us bring that home and some of us stays there for a while. That stress from work bleeds over into our regular work at home, our regular life at home. It is what it is. Therapy, medication, lots and lots and lots of issues there. Some of them are go to YouTube, take up, what can you do from a therapy perspective? There's lots of them. lots of stress management opportunities. If you end up on a medication, find out what you can do to get off that medication, because medication is not really and truly it may be a band-aid for what you have, but there's something underlying that's causing that need for medication. So seek professional help. And we're talking about physical health of stress. I think I'm going to leave that one for next time. We're starting to get into some of the details that I really wanted to get into, but let's go ahead and get down to the end of this one. Okay, back up one. On the USA Global TV and Radio Network on YouTube, there's a playlist on Talking Heads. You can go there and catch every show I've ever done. I've talked about all sorts of things: stress, toxins, cancer, weight management, health, longevity, lots of information there. I have several books that I have available on my website or on Amazon, all but the last one, the new Essential Author's Guide, How to Write and Publish a Book for Free, has ebooks. But understanding Alzheimer's, the causes of it, a lot of things, just with anything with stress. There are many, many causes. We have to figure out how can we address this one, conquer it, and then go move to the next one. Because just because you conquer one doesn't mean that the story's over. There are other things running parallel that can affect your life. But anyway, I would recommend The Joy of Ageless Health, because it talks about stress and what it does at the cellular level in the body. So until next week, I can't bid you adieu, and I look forward to continuing our discussion. Take care now. Bye.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence, building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, exploring life's purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.
Hello, I'm children's author Diane Floyd Bain, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages, and who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.
This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of the world's first tooth fairy ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecaruth.com, ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event.